3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 61. And we're delighted to be joined by PBM Ducati racer and
local
BSB superstar, now a local resident, Mr. Christian Iddon. How are you doing, son?
I'm all good. In fact, I was local last time you had me on, but I wasn't in the area, was I?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Hold on, now, Christian, we've already had you on as a guest. Now, the last time you were freezing your testicles off trying to impress the locals up here. So, you haven't pedalled up today, have you?
No, I have had a busy day today, but I haven't pedalled all the way up here. But I've been out on the pushy twice today, so yeah.
On the pushy?
I'll just say
what's a pushy?
I'll just say when I was trying.
What's a pushy?
It's a bike that doesn't ride itself.
Still,
without an engine. I'll just say when I was trying to organise this pod, right, I messaged Christian and said, you were off work today, so I messaged him and said, any chance you can call in and do a podcast? And he said, I'm actually out cycling in the morning. I said, well, what about the midday? He said, I'm on my motocross bike midday, and I was like, cracking. What about the evening? He said, I'm on my mountain bike in the evening. I was like, you are taking the piss.
I had to do all that to try and not turn up, and it still got me in. I'm not good.
I tell you what, right? All seriousness, when you get bored of being a British superbike contender, why don't you just become an Olympian for the crack? You know what I mean?
Seriously though, you must be at a very high level of fitness, because if I do a few hours motocross, the next day is a write off. So never mind that evening.
I think I'm fit enough.
Fit enough?
Yeah, but what I've become. I'm not super fit at stuff, but what I've got, I'm into this, I'm reading at the moment a book by a fella called Ross Edgley, who swam around Great Britain, which is 1,700.
Was that to impress a woman as well?
It would have done.
It would have been, wouldn't it?
But I quite like the whole concept of how far you can push the body. Mm-hmm. So a lot of my training routines aren't necessarily super strenuous, but a lot of it's about longevity and what you can do and what you can put yourself through.
What would you say is the big, if in that regard, what's the biggest achievement that you've done in a single day, say?
Well, that last one that we spoke about when I pedalled up here was probably one of the worst. But
that was atmosphere as well. You were pedalling through the beast from the east at that exact point.
Well, exactly. The ride wasn't that hard, apart from the fact that I chose a day when it never got above -6. But a few years before that, I'd decided I was going to run a marathon. I'd never really run more than probably 10k before, so I was going to really.
What's that in miles?
26 miles, I think.
Yeah, 26.
Which loads of people run a marathon, but I'd never done none of that before, so I just set off. I took no drink with me, no food, no nothing. So obviously 3.5 hours later, I was feeling the effects, and that was a wake up call to how the body shuts down, and I mean properly. I got to within a mile from home, and I was really shutting down. Mm-hmm. And I can remember actually the last mile or so, there's a wall going up to my house, and I was clambering onto it. I lost all bodily functions. I'd shat myself, basically.
Mm-hmm. How many miles was this in?
Hold on. Have you ever trained that hard, Chrissy, that you physically...
No, but the worst thing is...
No. Hold on. Hey, take your turn, Chris. Right, Chrissy, have you ever trained that hard you've shit yourself? We all know the answer from me.
I was once doing a track walk, and I got caught short and I had to leg it, and the old green-eyed monster was hanging out by the time I got back. But nothing through training. But
no, but I decided the night before I was going to do it. So I always try and tell someone, because then you have to do it.
Yeah.
So you have to hold yourself accountable. So I said to me, mate, I'm going to do this marathon, and he said, take some money with you. And I thought, I'm not going to carry my wallet for all that time. What he meant was put a £5 in your sock. So that was a stupid thing.
Is this your mate who actually runs, by any chance?
No.
So
I just told
your
a random
was just
mate.
just a random mate went, all right, just in case you nip by a pub, put a £5 in your pocket.
It was actually thinking on it. It was really, really good advice, which I didn't take because I thought I was going to carry my wallet, which is that full of receipts that it would have weighed far too much. So
forever the businessman.
So I thought, I'm not taking that. I thought, what a stupid thing to say.
So how many miles did you end up doing that day?
No, I'd done the full one. I did the full did the full marathon just on my own. But it was just
And I do know what you mean about sort of hitting a wall where your body closes down. And I've actually been reading I've been listening to, do you know Audible?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a guy called David Goggins.
Not heard of him.
He's like a Navy SEAL, and he
used to be
not
he
an
used to look
actual
at,
seal. He's a Navy
that's
SEAL.
it. He used to be like fat like me, and then he just turned into essentially you.
He's classed as
not-
one of the
he's
hardest
unreal.
men in the world, and
Yeah.
he does those like ultra marathons and like 100-mile races. He's got the world record for the number of pull-ups in 24 hours. He's like a real badass, the whole mind over matter thing, and like exactly what you're saying. It'll be right up your street. I'll send you the link after the pod because it's right up your street. But he's got this thing about he calls it the 40% rule, where basically human bodies like usually give up at around 40% of the actual capabilities, capacities, and it's all about like overcoming that mindset and whatever.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of the things like you're saying is what like this Ross Edgley was saying, and how a stoic mind and what you're actually capable of, and you don't realise what you're capable of until you push beyond.
Yeah.
You find it a lot if you go training and you know you're say it's a route you've done before, running or cycling or whatever, and you know you're approaching a hill, you naturally slow down. And it's because your body's getting ready for the effort it's going to exert itself, where you actually could have pushed on the whole way. So all that sort of thing is quite interesting to me. And there was a quote from, I think it was Edmund Hillary, and he was going on about when he first conquered Everest, and his quote was he hadn't conquered Everest, he'd conquered himself. And that is like, to me, that's really interesting because I think it relates to racing. I firmly believe that the only person that can beat me is me. So then if you actually conquer yourself, then the rest should come naturally.
And when you're doing all these like mad training and stuff and setting these like big targets, is it with the racing in mind? Are you thinking about like doing the training to be better on a superbike, or is it something that like even if you weren't racing, you think you just like that as a person and you like a challenge?
I think I like a challenge. The more now that we're getting close to an actual race season, the more I'm actually like stopping doing things that aren't as important towards racing, and I'm like doing a lot more motocross and a lot more mountain biking and that sort of thing, rather than just putting in big miles on road bikes.
They do talk about overtraining though, don't they? Is that something that you two agree with or nothing? Because actually a lot of people have said, like scientists have said, that you can overtrain the body.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying there?
You totally can. And I did a degree in sports science at Huddersfield University, so I know enough about it, but I'm better at telling it than I am at doing myself. So I know that if you go beyond a certain threshold, actually, you stop improving at all. Actually, so you're just putting in junk miles, really. So it does get to a point where you're sort of doing it. And for me, a lot of it's like mind over matter. So like I said before, if you can conquer your own mind, so a lot of it's not necessarily for a physical aspect. It's more of like being in my own head.
And are you running mostly like? Do you have like a high carb diet to run on carbs, or like? Do you sort of have a specific diet for your training, or do you? I presume you must eat a lot because you're burning a shitload of calories.
I do eat a lot.
Are we talking salads, pizzas, hobnobs?
So like a few years back, I went real, like proper keen with it, and far too far with it, and that's when it was probably detrimental, really, to racing. It was probably unhealthy. Now my diet, I try and be as normal as I can, and actually now, living with someone else, it's actually easier to have a normal diet, because when I was on my own, I would have exactly what I would have, and that was it, and it was very strict. But when you're with someone, it's different, isn't it? Yeah. You sit down, you have your tea, and you get out the crisps and dips, and you get out whatever else, you know what I mean? A cheeky cake comes out afterwards. And
I've seen Crystal. You're in for it tonight.
Some of Nicola's cooking as well. Like, you're in for a treat there.
So many times, like I go and I try and do like 100k or whatever before breakfast, so I do it without any food. And then I get back and she's made like one of them great big, she makes these breakfast bake things and they're enormous, and I'm like, I sit there and think I'm definitely not going to eat all of it, and I just sit there and it's all gone. It's just gone.
The thing is though, you can't eat like a horse when you're training that hard, and I suppose it's kind of the payoff, really, isn't it? But,
so before we get into the motorcycle side of this, how are you finding living in the northeast then? So how long? Last interview we did, when was?
That was the back end of last year, I think, wasn't it?
And were you moved up by that point? You were moving in at that point,
I moved in October.
Yes.
October.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying the northeast life then?
Do you know what? I actually really am.
That's because it's God country, son. There you go. This is welcome. Enjoy your baps, your miles run without being a rape victim. You know, we're all lovely up here. It's great.
It took coronavirus for me to really like.
It took a national pandemic to actually get me neck wound in.
Because I wasn't allowed to go back. I'm now settled.
And
Nick, she's a clever woman. That you're in lockdown permanently. By the way, you can never leave me.
It's funny, everyone else is allowed out, but me.
Are you managing with the accents? Or
Who's at the door? Oh dear,
have you picked up any like words or
Nah, there's a few. Like we go out mountain biking with a few lads, and there's one concert way, and I have not got a clue. I just say yes to everything. What he says.
That's concert. That mate. Don't worry about it.
No idea what he says.
Oh God, we need some more rock stars now. Bear in mind, if people listen to this, obviously get sick of our voice. We've got a brand new logo, Chrissy. I think this is going to have to be an into
regular.
Am I the first repeat, by the way?
I'm sure we have had.
No, we've had Richard Cooper on.
Yeah,
we've had Richard
I
Cooper
don't feel
on. But
special
no,
anymore.
but you're the first. You're the first repeat in the new studio, young'un.
Studio.
So there you go. So you have to sign the charity lid. Don't be like that. Just sweet, sensitive.
Feel a bit used now.
Oh, good. That's it. You're definitely in the northeast. Then you're definitely in the northeast. There we go. So, right, Ducati rider Paul Bird. What have you been up to? What is the crack? What do we know? You better make this good. You're a repeat guest.
No pressure. No, we have been back on the bike, so that's good. Birdie was actually so keen. I was keen to get back out, and I did say I'll ride anywhere. I'll ride Tesco car park if we have to. And we didn't go far from that point. We went to Teesside karting, which, believe me, on a 1200cc Ducati, because we took the stocker, I think they're 1100, 1200, is quite an eye opener. Having not ridden a bike for 3-4 months, riding a go-kart track.
There's not much run off at the end of that back straight, is that? Because you will get up to a decent speed.
Yeah,
down
well,
the back.
that's
How many gears did you use?
Not very many.
It would have been like an automatic, like a bloody fizzy man.
It felt like warp speed,
Yeah, but like flat third when there's a tyre wall right next to you and in front of you.
I tell you what, you don't realise as well. You don't realise how good the tarmac is on the tracks that we race on. Like the bumpiest tracks we race on, we think they're so bumpy. You go to a go-kart track, that's bumpy.
I think it's brilliant. Well, I'm more at home on those situations, but like your physical fitness, you couldn't have asked a better track than that. Now, bearing in mind, we're sitting next to did you win a title in Supermoto? You did, didn't you? A few.
I won 9 British.
Oh yeah, sorry, a few. One. Have you won? Oh, that's a bit awkward. There, I'm repeat guest, and I'm just asking how many's won. 1 or 2, young'un. 1 or 2. So you would have been quite at home at that then, because that's like Supermoto is go-kart track.
Well, that is a track that I'd been to before, and when they said, I was like, oh, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest Supermoto tracks we go to. So I thought, yeah, it's pretty big. That's all right. It's not very big.
And I seen that day that did Frank take his rally car
rally
as well?
car.
Did you get a go in that?
I got to sit in the passenger seat. It was amazing what that thing can do. That is proper.
Now, you've been in control of normally a motorcycle. How are you as a passenger in that car?
Well, the first corner he came to, I was like, he ain't slowing down for this. And then once you realise what that car can do, we only did 2 laps. And halfway around the first lap, I was going, come on, lad, come on, you're on for a lap record. Like, I think he was getting a bit fed up with me trying to egg him on. but no, it was me. And that was good to get out in the end, actually, because the first run out, I was like, I can't ride this round here. And then the more you actually get used to it, you just accept that it was a small track. And it was pretty good fun in the end.
Well, do you know how Sean Muir's based just down the road?
Yeah.
When he was running the Hydrex Honda team, they used to use that as a test track.
Yeah.
So Dom goes there on a Tuesday night on what's it, like the
on
mini bike
on a bike that's actually built for the track at that
on
point.
On a 150.
So, yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So it's a little bike, but like you say, 1200cc is a total.
Well, I rode all day. It was dry. I rode all day on wets, and one of the sessions that I was out on, it started raining, and I pulled in, and I'm like, I actually don't have an excuse for pulling in because I'm on wets. And it wasn't until I pulled in I realised.
What was the thinking about sticking wets in?
Yeah,
just because it gives a bit more feel.
Right.
And obviously you're not generating a lot of temperature into the tyres, so it was just to give it some movement.
Hold on, you're riding Pagellis here, aren't they? I thought you just put a hairdryer on them and them things heated up. So why on? So did you purposely?
I was being a fanny.
Oh no, fair enough. But I tell you what, I've ridden wets, right? I've normally run the Dunlop wets, right? And some of the biggest, scariest moment I've had in road racing was on a drying track on wets when the wets get that hot, and you're on the brake and the thing just collapses on the rim. So you purposely went for that at a track with no runoff.
Yeah,
talk me through that, young'un. Talk me through that.
No, it was all right. I was happier to be in a steadier pace than
I can't believe you're
a set of slicks.
We're talking to a British contender here, and you're like a steady pace. You would have been hossing on, young'un.
Dom always gives Pirellis a hard time, but to be fair, when you look at like the
brilliant
BSB World Superbike times and stuff, they're all on Pirellis, and the motor.
Oh no, I'm not slagging them off. I'm just saying how they feel.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? Like the tyres work. They're obviously phenomenal tyres. Now, places like Oliver's Mount, I wouldn't want to go on Dunlops.
Mm-hmm.
No way on God's green earth, because it's just start, stop, turn, fire, start, stop, turn, fire. If I went to British racing, I'd definitely want to be on like Pirellis. I think Dunlop, in my opinion, for the roads such as the Northwest, the Ulster, and the TT, where you speak to Peter Hickman, the actual tyre construct is so much more rigid. But once you got the heat into them, they're brilliant.
Yeah, I hadn't had too much experience on different tyres because I've always been in British Championship on that, and then when I did Worlds, it was Pirellis as well.
Mm-hmm.
The only experience I've had is doing Suzuka, and we rode Bridgestones one year, and that was an eye-opener in terms of, with Pirellis, you always have to manage how many tyre life. So you always like, even heat cycles, you're like, how many heat cycles has it had? And I remember the first time I went to Suzuka for the first test, and the Bridgestone guy, we had a proper technician there, and I wasn't the first one who'd ridden the bike that day.
Right.
And that, so I was like, well, how many laps has it gone? And he just sort of shrugged his shoulders and didn't know. I'm like, well, you're a technician. Come on, tell me something. I was like, well, how many sessions has it done? And he just shrugged his shoulders again. I was like, oh, here we go then. And you just went out, and they didn't care. And I remember the stock team telling me, Josh Waters was riding it, and he reckoned they could do the full race if they wanted to on a set of Bridgestones. And it was
that's incredible.
I know, but it was an eye opener for me, because on Pirellis, they're very, very fast to start with, and the tyre life does go off over time. But on my first stint was when I really sort of realised what they could do, because it's the first time I'd done a long run, so you're doing 45 minutes, a full tank, and I was getting faster and faster and faster and faster. So as the fuel load went down, and as you got more confident, the tyre life was staying on a par, so you're actually getting faster. And that's the first time I've had that experience, so it was different. I think Bridgestone Dunlops are like that, and Pirelli sort of start out probably more grip to start with than anything else.
Well, I've done one British like super sport, and that's what I initially felt. It was like in practice, it was just like mint. Got to the race, and bear in mind, I'm not Jack Kennedy. You know what I mean? And even I'm I'm riding like properly get through the corner, and it was just like.
Yeah, it's a different feel.
But then that's like we're talking about tyre confidence, and that's where the psychological game of racing comes in. If someone comes up to you, like on a road circuit like me and Gan, best tyres on a Dunlop, and then if they come flying past you again, what's he on? Well, Dunlops. Oh, right, well, I better put Dunlops. It's it's that battle, isn't it? If someone says you're on the best tyres, you're going to go fast, aren't you?
100%.
On the roads, obviously, Dunlop and, well, it's usually Dunlop or Metzeler. Are Bridgestones big on the TT? Does anyone use?
You can run them, but I don't know anyone does. People have dabbled with the Michelin. You know, the Michelin tyres now, like David talked like Tsukamoto stock like yourself. He ran Michelin's for 1 year, but then he went to Dunlop. But I think that's more the team influence through Honda and Padgett's and everything like that. But not many people, especially when it comes to the roads, you stick with. I guess you're sticking with what everyone else is running. It's either Dunlop or Metzler's.
We spoke to a few people about this, and we had like Stuart on the podcast and stuff. And I guess one of the, you could say, advantages of BSB is the fact it takes that variable out of things. So in terms of making it a level playing field, if you've got different tyre manufacturers all competing, and I suppose in one way it's better for competition and sort of improving things, but in terms of keeping things as close as possible and as fair, if you could say, I guess taking that variable out of it and just making everyone run the same.
A one make tyre rule is mint.
I totally agree, but here's a technical question for you mad kids, right? What's the difference for our listeners between a stock Pirelli with treads in, cut-in treads, and a slick tyre? Because you hear commentators all the time going, oh yeah, it's his first year on slicks. Talk me through, what is, in your opinion, is there a difference?
Well, the first difference is about 2 seconds a lap.
Shut the front door.
But the thing is, because it's not just the tyres that would be the same. I suppose the only way to test that would be to have
that's what I mean.
Like
so
a superbike setup,
same bike, two sets of rims. Like you go out, bang a lap on stock tyre, then go out on a set.
The compounds are different. The construction's different. The slick tends to be a lot harder to ride, and it takes a lot more getting used to find the limit, because the limit is so high. And when they do break away, they tend to break away a lot more aggressively. whereas a stock tyre tends to be a lot easier to ride, but obviously the limit's a lot lower.
And also with the stock tyres, you're limited to an SC1, which everyone uses for qualifying and for racing, where when you get to superbikes with the slicks, you have your choice of SC2, SC1 and SC0. So SC0 is like you would use for qualifying, but you would also, you use that in the cold as well, if you can sort of get away with it.
The goal is always to run the softest that you can, because it's the grippiest.
Yeah, straight off the bat and go.
But not all. But then obviously you got to manage tyre life, so that's where it is good.
You see, if if it starts to rain and you're on slicks, if it just has a downpour on the track and you're on a superbike race, this is how long it's been since racing. We don't know what's going on, but do they just red flag it immediately? Because a slick has no tread. Now, people listening to this, we're just blabbering on about tyres and how you out on wet tyres, and we're talking about cuts and tread. Google a wet tyre, then Google a Pirelli, what is it, Diablo, what's it called?
Slick?
No, the tyre, like the stock tyre. What's it? Supercourse. Type in that, then type in a slick tyre. Now, the cut in a tread is about dispersing water. Is that correct? And generating heat within the tyre.
Yeah.
So, now you've got zero tread, you see a puddle, it's pissing down with rain, you must crap your pants. Or is there enough heat in that to hold? Compared to a stock. I love this pod because we are diving in the technical. We don't care about you. We want your knowledge.
Well, technically, if you can keep the slick warm, then you're fine. As long as you're not having to displace water. So if the track's damp and you can keep a slick warm, which you probably couldn't, then theoretically that is the best tyre. Once you've got to displace water, that's what the cuts are mainly for. So as long as you're not having to generate heat and not having to displace water, then the faster you go, the more heat you keep in.
There we are.
That's where you sort of
should be the best.
They call it mental rain, where if you get a little bit on your visor, as long as you keep pushing, you're fine.
But the minute you slow down, it's worse.
Hey, I've been there myself. You're just going in the corner going, mental rain, mental rain, mental rain, mental rain. Nope, that was rain.
There's a fine line between mental rain and actual rain. That's the problem.
I tell you what, I went to the Ulster, right, and I remember it was my first top 10, and it was like the Dunlop man pulled up next to us, and he just pulled up. I said, "Could you check my tyre pressures?" He went, "Yep, no problem." I said, "It looks soaking. Shall I put wets in?" And he goes, this is like the cut Dunlop slightly. He goes, "Dominic, they are built for this." And you know when we're talking about the mental game side of it, and I just went, you know what? You're wearing a yellow jacket and you got a tyre gauge. You're right. And you just, and I just pushed and pushed and pushed, and it was just like the grip until someone gives you that confidence to go, they'll work. But if he didn't tell me that, I would have just been like...
You had a cold trickle, days of thunder, match tyres.
That's exactly it.
They were the same.
But before the control tyre, when we had Michael Rutter on the podcast, he was talking about a year in BSB where just his tyre bill was £300,000. And, because there was 50 different compounds of fronts. And I suppose having a controlled tyre takes away that and makes it more affordable for teams to compete and whatever. But speaking of you riding, obviously you had that little run out at Teesside, and then I seen you were also out at our local, it used to be a BSB track, but Croft. Did you ever race at Croft?
I raced Super Sport at Croft.
Right, so back in 2010, I think was the last time we were there, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. I was pretty rubbish. I remember I headbutted the tyre wall, actually. I remember that. So did one of them where you don't fall over, but you hit the tyre wall before you've fallen off.
How has it been back? Because it's been resurfaced, I think, last year. So it's a nice new surface, but it still follows the bumps, but it's better surface. How did you find it?
The surface is actually mint. It really is nice. It gives a really nice level of grip. Like you said, the bumps are still they're there. They're the same bumps. They basically just tarmacked over everything. Warts and all. They haven't graded it or nothing. They've just gone for it. But it is a real nice surface. So we went and tested there on the Ducatis, me and Josh. And
Josh would have raced there for years, though, wasn't he?
I would have been there on the HM Plant days.
Oh, right. So he's been around there himself. Yeah.
Yeah, and no, it's mint, and it's a mint track. The only thing I'm not sure about Croft is they've put barriers in the only place you can crash. It's it's just surrounded by fields, isn't it? Apart from corners, and then they put a barrier on the outside of a corner. You're like, why don't you just leave it as a field? It would have been much nicer.
So, do you reckon there's no chance? I keep asking these questions every time I go to the North Yorkshire Road Racing Club nights. We're going, will Croft return? And just everyone's the same answer. It's just no. I would love for it to go.
Why
That's
did they say
locals.
no?
They did actually
Well,
open it up for the noisy days. It went from something, they had like 50 odd noisy days, and then they doubled the noisy days, which was a good step in the right direction. Because that initially, I think that was one of the issues.
There was a crazy old bat that lived down the road that went through a divorce or something like that, and then complained about the noise.
Was it not I think the circuit owner divorced, and there was issues with the breakup. And I think
love stories. Oh, you see, that's it.
It had knock-on effects which stopped the race, I think. But then
I would like to punch him in the face.
Noise, noise complaints and all that. But it was actually Croft that pulled it, not BSB. So if Croft went back to BSB and like offered a thing, but I think the way it works with non-MSV tracks is they've got to put it costs them. So there's a risk that if it's say like a rainy day, like for example Knock Hill, it's a risk for them to put on the BSB, but they've got to get like so many thousand seats in to make sure that it pays for. So
that explains the calendar that we've got at the moment. Then,
well, what do you mean?
Well, you're not at Knock Hill, are you?
No.
That's so they must be MSV owned tracks then.
Not
I don't
exactly.
think the Scottish are letting us in yet. Are they fully?
Yes,
of course.
That's one of the things, but not exactly as well,
Jimmy.
because with having races every 2 weeks, they've tried to make the calendars like close together, and most of the people that race at BSB are around the south of England, so it wouldn't really make sense to go Assen or.
Because how many BSB riders do we have in the northeast?
Not
you in Barry Teasdale.
As
There you are. There you go. Hey, what's he like for a brother-in-law then? Is he a bellend?
We get on good.
it's good to have someone to train with, and like
Definitely. I'm desperately trying to convince him to buy a motocross bike, and he's hanging tough at the
Hold
moment.
on. He's a hell
mega on the
he was a
motocross
hell of a
bike,
rider, wasn't he?
I don't know. He says that.
There's a rumour going round. He started
On the rumour mill. That's it.
No, he was a top motocross rider. So,
yeah, so I'm trying to convince him because I
There we
need
go.
some bike friends.
Bike friends. There you are.
We're quite spoiled for choice around here for motocross tracks, mind. There's pretty.
It's mint. So I started doing a bit of a Facebook search of the tracks around this area, and there is loads.
2.
No, honestly, no. There's a lot. It's dead good. So in the last 2 weeks, I've done 3 tracks. One of them I'm not going back to, but the other 2 were dead good. So
we've got some good riders as well. Like we had Billy Bull on the podcast.
Have you met him?
A few months ago.
Well, in parts, I don't know him well or nothing, but I follow his Insta like you wouldn't believe.
He's
unbelievable.
He's unbelievable on the bike.
Unbelievable.
We'll have to get him as a return guest. There you go. Well,
he treats like when you think if you pick a bike up and you like a full size like 250 or whatever, it's like you know
like
how
a
heavy it
BMX.
is. He treats it as if as if it's like a trials bike. Like
some of the skills that you see, like Billy Bolt, Colton Haker, some of them boys, Jarvis. You see some of them on Instagram, and it's just like
unreal.
Wow.
Now, speaking of other disciplines, you do your motocross. Do you also do like trialing, or what other types of disciplines do you do for training?
I did have a trial. I sold my trials bike at the start of last year, just because I get a bit bored of it. I think it is dead good for like teaching bike skill and this, that, and the other, but I pot around for half an hour and then I start finding things that I can jump, and that's not. I might as well just go ride motocross.
Yeah.
So I kind of realised that after 4 or 5 times of spending half an hour and then going finding jumps, and a trials bike isn't made for jumping. So plus I didn't have enough skill, so I'd just hit logs in 3rd gear, and whatever the
see
bike,
what happens.
yeah, whatever the bike went over, I would clean, and whatever the bike didn't go over, I would 5 the section. So that was pretty much my trial skill. So.
This is what I do on the pod. As you know, I just throw left hooks in all the time. But now, it's going to be a very on-the-spot question. But now, being a contract rider, is there things that you're not allowed to do within reason, legal reason?
I've not had a phone call yet.
No, I'm just wondering, because you hear things like, if you're paying for a rider to be on a bike, you'd think there'd be some sort of limitations.
Yeah, well, when I had my factory Aprilia contract a long time back, the first time I got a proper contract, and it was a big, thick document, and that had quite a lot of stuff in, to the point like obvious things like skiing, but then you couldn't like do any boxing, like sparring boxing, that sort of thing. Things that I wouldn't be too sure about.
Even like backflips, things like that.
but even backflips in that. But even
what do you make? Anyway, we're gonna go
even
into that
like
later.
competition football, like if you went and did a little 5-a-side, that was ruled out, which is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
That's
I know at the moment we've got the whole Dovey thing at the moment, haven't we, with motocross?
I was just about to say that there's a discussion to have whether the pros outweigh the cons for motocross, and it's a discussion that I'm like constantly like a thing that's constantly going on in my head. And when you look around, you look at BSB, World Superbikes, MotoGP, every single top rider trains motocross. So to me, and with the inherent risk that motocross brings for like collarbones and various injuries, like Rossi did his leg, there's loads of injuries. With that risk, the reward must be worth it for all those riders to take. Like if you think of Marquez, he's got problems with his shoulder, like serious problems with his shoulder that could end his career. He signed that deal for like it's like a 6-digit, like
lots
100 million.
So you're the maths
teacher.
Lots of
digits.
Lots of digits.
Lots of
hundreds
zeros.
of he's going to make like millions and millions, over 100 million in the next 4 years or whatever. And you see him like pushing hard on a motocross bike,
like flat tracking and all sorts.
And so there is that discussion. Where do you when you ride motocross, are you sort of riding like 70% to get the gains from the fitness, but without taking any?
You've got to ride it hard enough, haven't you, to make it to get the gains.
Yeah.
So like I said, the other day I went to a track and it was that dusty that you just couldn't see 2 foot in front of you, and so I couldn't ride the bike hard enough. So I went, this is a waste of time. I'm not riding the bike to what it should be. Like my granddad hates me riding motocross, hates it. But I always have the discussion with him, like, I would rather run the risk and be on top of my game. So I think riding bikes often because obviously you don't get to ride the race bikes very often. So you've got to keep sharp somehow. So I'd rather run the risk that there is and be as sharp as can be than not take any risk and be not on top of my game.
Yeah, and I think that's where that's exactly the sort of conclusion that I've come to, and it is a difficult one to have, and the problem is,
and
with
it's fine until you come a bit short on a tabletop.
Exactly, and with being super competitive as well, it's really difficult to go to a racetrack and somebody come past you and think to yourself, like I'll just stay at 70% because you've got that sort of monkey. Have you ever read the chimp paradox?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. You've got that inner monkey that's wanting to go after them, and you're trying to like sort of tame that, and it's it is a recipe for disaster. But like you say, it's great fitness. And one thing I've noticed is when I like say if I'm running or cycling or whatever, push myself as hard as what I think I can go, and I'll be looking at like my resting heart rate the day after, and or like the week or whatever, and it doesn't really affect it. I do motocross and I look at my resting heart rate and it plummets, and the actual fitness levels, and you get that full body ache the day after, which it's lovely, and but
riding a bike, you can't replicate it, can you? Until you do it. You try and replicate it doing all these different movements and motions in the gym and whatever you do. But there's nothing like, you can train the best you can ever train. You'll do one day of motocross and you ache from head to toe, don't you?
Yeah,
it's just how it is.
I'm surprised you didn't do more like Supermoto kind of thing, or is it just not as accessible? Especially in the Northeast, it's not accessible. But you'd think that's the thing I can't get over.
Tarmac, do you mean?
Well, no, like tarmac. That's it. It's a discipline that you're basing your career on. You'd think, well, I can see.
It's
I
not,
can
it's
totally
not as
understand
easy as it used to be. So when I stopped doing Supermoto, there was still quite a lot of races going on. Now, as far as I'm aware, there's only like one championship that runs, and there's only a few track days that keep going. So to keep a bike for only going out every now and again, it gets a bit.
Yeah, I can understand that.
What about the O'Varleys? Like, a sponsor's just bought Don one, so he's been out on one recently, and obviously Hickman's the UK importer now, and you see loads of the BSB lads getting. And we've been speaking about this, and it looks a very similar discipline, like your knee and elbow down, and like it. Have you had a go on one of those, and where do you think that's something that interests you or not really?
I've never had a go on one. I was out with Michael Laverty and John McPhee, who both had some a couple of years back. Before probably like this new craze of them.
Yeah, the Hickman domination of it, yes,
and they just looked very nervous, and I just thought, not sure about that.
See, I like that about that. If you know what I mean, to be like that's as close. Like I've ridden, and I love the Cymoto, which is like a 140, like a Supermoto style. There's as far as enjoying a bike. This is me being brutally honest, and if Hickman's listening to this, he'll kill me. But as far as riding a bike, I would prefer to ride the 140. But for our discipline, definitely the O'Varley.
Really?
Because the slower you ride it, the worse it is.
Right.
The harder you ride it, the more at home you feel. So you know yourself when you're like pushing in the corner, push, and the front goes, it's saving it the same. Like when you ride Supermotos, you've just got that more leverage in your arms to bring it back round. So as far as for me that's concerned, because I'm going to be very honest, like I am not at your skill level, the pair of you. You know, I'm not British standard. Like I started on the roads, and that's where I want to be. But
it's a different discipline, really.
It's a total different discipline. But in the same breath, like riding that little O'Varley, I've learned more riding that little O'Varley, just from that. It's that constant nervous twitch. So when you get on a big bike, you'd be like, you're looking for that twitch.
Well, the other thing is I'm tight and they are quite expensive, aren't they? So if someone wants to buy me one, I'm going to really enjoy riding it.
Come have a go. You should come have a go on the one I've been given.
No,
seriously, you should. Now that'll be a good YouTube thing for this.
I wouldn't be against that.
There you go. Just
we
don't
should
tell.
go Teesside.
We should. There you go, Liz. You crap your pants more than that 1200 thing of Paul Bird's. There we go.
And then after Croft, I seen you went to Knockhill last week. Was it Monday? 2-day test, Monday, Tuesday, and obviously that's a proper BSB track that you've raced the last few years, you know, on the BMW, and so it was a good taste of the difference between what you've been used to with the BMW and obviously the new bike with the Ducati. Now, Ducati's been mega, especially since they brought the V4 out, been mega dominant. Last year there was 3 Ducatis in the championship, first, second, third in the championship. If you look at like race wins, 22 out of 27 or something. Is it what you expected when you were watching from being on a BMW, looking at the Ducatis, riding it yourself? Is it what you expected?
I think it's very different to what I expected. Yeah. One of the main things that when I noticed racing against it is it's super fast. It doesn't feel super fast. The way it makes the power is like really linear. Mm-hmm. You know that you're picking up speed, but you don't notice that you're picking up speed in the way that it is doing. Mm-hmm. The first time I rode it at Cartagena, I thought it dropped a valve on the first lap. I was like, it doesn't go. But it's just the way that it makes power out of a corner. But it goes like stink, because there was some proper lads there on proper bikes and I was passing them like anything down the straight, so it really goes. The bike isn't feeling fully mine yet. It is a very different bike to what I've been used to. Mm. But I'm trying not to deviate away from what Scott and Josh had on their bikes, because I don't want to take it away from what was so successful.
You know that works.
Yeah, and I know that works, so I need to work myself into it rather than trying to make it work around me.
Now, do you know, like obviously Josh and Scott have got very different riding styles, and I presume they'll have quite different setups. Are you sort of varying, like going towards one or the other, or just?
I seem to tend to go towards Josh's.
Like similar settings. Sort of riding style.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So that works all right. And Knockhill was good. The first day was absolutely lashing down, and it was horrendous. Wind was the problem. Rain's no bother, because rain's rain.
Yeah, you got the tyres that support that. You haven't exactly got sails for tyres for the wind.
Exactly. So that was a bit. It was good to get out in the wet. Just the conditions weren't ideal. And then the second day we got loads of running. It was a nice day, and I enjoyed it. Josh has just got the edge on me at the moment, which is frustrating me.
Well, no.
You say it's expected. I don't expect it.
No, not expected.
I like it.
It's not expected. He's got experience of the word. You're jumping in.
I know, but so I was there with me. I had my phone under. Every time he went past, I was like, I kept trying to press it a bit like later. So it was...
Speaking of Josh, have you? Do
you like him?
Close teammates? Is he been helpful in adapting to the Ducati, or is it a case of like you get on with your own work and he sort of looks after himself?
He's not been not helpful. I don't think you have. No, but I don't think you have to be helpful as teammates. At the end of the day, we're both.
It's not his responsibility to make you fast.
Yeah, it's not up to him to try and assist me.
No, you're both professional riders.
Yeah, so he's not been not helpful. And if I went and asked him something, I think he would give me an honest answer, and probably a long one, because he does like to talk, as Josh.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Once you get him going, he loves it.
See, I've never met Josh. He just seems, he's very cut. He is a pro. If you're going to draw a professional, that's how you draw it, because he's very his interviews very well spoken, very cut and clear.
He's a deep character, is Josh.
Is he?
Very deep. He started talking about some book he was reading out in Spain, and I was
BSB
mesmerised.
Like the read,
not what you expect.
Not what I expected,
right.
And I think he's always been a little bit misunderstood.
So, especially when he first came to BSB, he was sort of seen as this like sort of crazy, like brains out, Like, yeah, when he first came.
aye.
I mean, he
Hold on,
wiped.
are we
He
talk- are we-
wiped.
oh, no,
he
we talk-
did
no,
take
no,
out
no,
half
no.
the field.
Yeah. Are we talking in style on the bike or actually like
Loose,
off like
loose, like at Mallory Park. He how many people did he skittle?
Just everyone.
Like basically just skittled everyone going
and
in
that's
the
how you
hairpin.
win championships, ladies and gentlemen.
He broke someone's legs as well, didn't he? When he did,
Ooh.
like somebody I think broke the legs in that crash, and like he was just this like maniac. He's bad
the
bad boy
Brooks
that,
thing.
Is
sort of
that what
reputation.
this-
Where now, if you just started watching BSB, you would think of this like methodical, softly spoken,
That's me.
polite.
Well, it is when you watch Josh's career and when he went to the Yamaha, it looked like he changed completely as a person and as a rider. He went from being someone who looks very animated on a bike to being very smooth, and actually his persona seemed to change at the same time. And funny enough, I asked him about the Yamaha days the other day, and he said none of that was the riding style change wasn't something that he took on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
He says the bike just rode like that, so it's just something he managed to naturally do. So I guess his style changed. But yeah, if you would see the Josh Brooks now, but I think a lot of it follows him from previously, and I think some of the ways that he comes across is often misinterpreted and misunderstood. And when you get him, he's a good bloke. And we're going to fall out because hopefully we're going to be racing against each other very hard.
Yeah.
It's
funny
so
as
we're
well,
going to fall out
At the beginning of the season, you know that as well with the with the teammate. Every single word.
There's all them niceties in it, and
especially sometimes in a team, if you've got if you've got like an established first rider and a second rider, and you're both clear on where in terms of like a hierarchy, you both know where you stand, then there's no issues. But if you're both like, obviously you're going into the championship to win it, he's obviously going to be trying to win it as well. It's impossible for the to settle basically in it, and but. I guess it's it's a professional outfit, and you both know what you're trying to be doing. Now, is the sort of setup of the team, is it a kind of board up your side and his side, or is it a team where
no,
it
is a team. Everything works together, and that is good. At the moment, I have
until you start beating them.
Yeah, exactly. So very soon there'll be a board.
He comes walking in with a bit of chipboard on his shoulder. This is for you, Josh. There you go. Put that there.
Taking up joinery, Josh. It's strange on a Saturday afternoon. No, at the moment, so I'm missing two of my mechanics.
Like Josh over the board. Check his notes. Check his notes.
I'm missing two of my mechanics because so my crew chief elect is from Ducati course, so he's not been able to come over, and so is one of my mechanics. So I've not had my full team set up for this.
Is Italy still in lockdown?
No, well, we're in quarantine, aren't we, or whatever you call it. So they've not been able to come over to go back.
Yes.
So have you just basically replaced Scott in the same team as what Scott had?
So everyone always saw Giovanni on TV. So Giovanni's followed Scott to World Superbike.
Yeah.
So we've got I'm pretty sure he was with Carol Abraham last year, who was my guy. So it'll be interesting as well for him because it's his first year working with Pirelli's, his first year on the Superbike, his first year without electronics. So there's a lot of things that we need to learn together, but obviously he's got the full insight from Ducati course. So they've got a huge sort of database of information and knowledge, and the bike essentially isn't really that much different. We've got a different swing arm, but it's tried and tested out in World Superbike. So my side of the team at the moment is a little bit, in the test, it's been different to what it's going to be at the racing. But only, I think, at the next test that we do, which is going to be probably the BSB test if we don't get out once before.
And
we're going to be back to normal, aren't we?
When is the first test?
26th of this month.
And today's date is, my phone and watch is not working. What's today's date?
It's like 8th.
The 8th. All right then. No, not long then. Not long, kids.
Now, we had a few questions we've got a Patreon page, and we'll get questions sent in, and one of the questions from Mark Reynolds, he said, fingers crossed for an injury-free season for him. Being on the perceived best bike and with the best team in the BSB paddock, does the added pressure that bring change his mindset at all? Or does knowing he is on the best bike and with the best team spur him and relieve pressure because he knows he can absolutely win races and the championship?
He's bringing his own chipboard. There's his answer.
Yeah, so in terms of your approach to the season, in the past, like say this time last year, you're going into the championship with the BM. It was a brand new bike. You really didn't know where you stood with it. You didn't get any pre-season testing. You're kind of going in wanting to win the championship, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking, all these other teams and bikes I've been testing and that have already had like years of data. You are sort of pissing in the wind a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah.
Now, this is the first year you're really going into the championship with, that you've got the package to do the job. How does that change your mindset going in?
Well, pretty much exactly like you said. So, as a rider, you always expect of yourself to win, and that's how it should be. And anyone that doesn't go in expecting to, at least, even if they're not expecting to win that year, they're expecting to progress to a point where they're going to win. So in the last few years, I've gone in expecting myself to win, but knowing full well that motorsport isn't just the individual and there's everything around it.
Of course,
so although you expect it of yourself, you sort of know in the back of your mind.
You need the bike, you need the package, you need the team.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need
it's like realistic goals.
Yeah, realistic goals. So you take away what you think you can do and sort of put it into a realist perspective.
Yeah.
I'd say this is the first time that I've had the team that really expects that to happen. Obviously, I was with the same team for 4 years, had a great time. We had a lot of successes along the way, but just never ultimately achieved what we wanted to achieve. But coming into the PBM team, it's clear, even just in the last month or so, they've rented 3 days worth of track just for me and Josh. There is no messing about.
Mm-hmm.
That is not cheap to start doing that sort of thing with a full team set up, and it's proper.
It's next level, isn't it?
It is next level. So what they expect is fully warranted. And yeah, with that comes a weight of expectation. I'm essentially just trying to put that to one side. I think most riders put enough pressure on themselves that any extra can be detrimental.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is clear that the team expects a much higher level of finishing position than any other team.
It's a mutual understanding, though, isn't it?
And going into the championship, are you sort of approaching it with it's like a sort of 2-year thing, getting to know the Ducati this year and trying to go for the championship the following season, or are you in the mindset of I am like going out there to try and win the championship this year?
Well, this is my chance. This is how I see it. You spend all your career, don't you, like aiming for that one.
Are you on a 1-year contract?
Yeah, 1-year contract. So that's, again, motorsport. Most contracts are 1 year.
Yeah.
So, and you're only ever as good as your last race, aren't you? That's the golden rule in motorbike racing. So you just got to go out and give it your all. Obviously, the season isn't a normal one, so it's an added.
No, it's far from it.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
It's another spanner in the works. Having said that, it's the same for everyone, so you can't really use that as any kind of an excuse. It is just a bit of a shame that you haven't got the chance to do a full season with bits of breaks in between to sort of gather your thoughts and get, do you know what I mean? Just that normal season. It basically, once this starts, it's going to also be over, in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, knives out and go for it. Because what is it? I keep asking the same questions every show, Chrissy. But 7th to the
9th of August, the first one.
Aye, so no, how many? Six rounds.
6 rounds.
6 rounds.
6 rounds, 5 tracks, 18 races.
It's not a lot of wiggle room, innit? But like you say, everyone's in the same boat, isn't it? So
Now, speaking of the new setup, obviously it's been announced that BSB are running the Superbike class are running 3 races a weekend, presumably one on the Saturday afternoon, and then 2 on the Sunday. That obviously brings a different dynamic to how you're going to approach the race weekend. Because, for example, if you've got one race, you're thinking to yourself, well, if it goes wrong, we've got all week to get it sorted and whatever. Now, for the 3 races, something goes wrong in qualifying on race 1. You're putting yourself and the team under a lot of pressure. In your head, are you sort of do you think you will approach the racing differently in terms of trying to be more consistent and take with no showdown as well? That's a huge element to the championship.
Yeah.
In the past,
it is a showdown, isn't it?
Yeah, the whole thing's the showdown.
That's good.
Do you think you'll be approaching anything differently?
I think I'm going to try not to, but what you think and what you subconsciously think is actually 2 separate things.
Yeah,
and you can't always help your subconscious from what it's deciding, how it's applying, what you're doing in a race.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that at the first race, really, it's going to be a case of wanting to get through it, not really make any mess ups in it.
Yeah.
And then obviously the last race of any weekend is always just like what have you got? Because they've got 2 weeks to fix it, sort of thing.
It's going to be some championship, isn't it? Like, I mean, in general, it's
well,
just...
it's full of ex-murderers to start with, over 12 rounds.
Exactly,
so
but
they're going to be like proper ex-murderers.
But that's it. You put all them ex-murderers in a box, let them sweat out a little bit. There's going to be blood and feathers, my friends. I'm telling you, it's going to be serious, isn't it? It's going to be. I can't wait to watch.
No, go on the championship. Like listening to other podcasts and speaking to anyone with an opinion on BSB.
Who's listening to other podcasts? Hold on, I want to know that. How dare you, Christopher?
Like
That's it.
Now everyone's talking the same sort of favourites. Yourself, Brooks, Tommy Bridewell. Most people are sort of tipping as the top three. Who is anybody else that stands out that you think they're like the dark horse that you think could be a bit of a championship contender?
In all honesty, no real idea. No real idea. To me, Josh is the standout in terms of he's got the same bike, the same everything. The only person that's not there anymore is Scott, so he is the would-be number one rider.
How many teams have stayed the same? So you got Bridewell on. He's on the same bike, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Josh, like you just mentioned,
Jason O'Halloran and Taron are both staying.
I tell you what, it's quite a consistent. So there's only really not many of you that have swapped. So yourself,
Bradley Ray. So Brad's went from the Suzuki to Cinetic BMW All Tyco team. In terms of big
stepped
moves,
up.
Yeah, Kennedy moved up with the tag racing.
Yeah, so like you're saying, nothing like let's be blunt, like them front runners from last year. It's kind of it really is the same.
Obviously,
by yourself.
Buchan's got another year on the same bike, and he was very strong last year.
Yeah,
Taron and Jason are going to be really, really strong.
The Rich Energy OMG lads.
Yeah, they were strong in testing actually.
Barbara was really strong on the BM, and
I'm going to wait till we take him out of Spain and then see how he gets.
Well, yeah, exactly. When he first came to BSB though, the first round on the Kawasaki, people were really struggling. Whoever was riding that Kawasaki last year was really struggling. Barbara turned up and stuck it on pole at Donington, so it was like, wow, like he's going to be on fire for the rest of the season, and he really died off, and he's turned into being, polite way of saying it, a back marker really, right at the back.
Shut up, man.
No, he was.
He did. Yeah.
And it's weird story. How can you jump on a bike, stick it on pole first time on it, and then be like battling for 18th? It seemed odd, but he does seem to be like rejuvenated since going to joining the BMW, the Rich Energy.
This sport is amazing, isn't it?
But like BSB, there is so many riders and teams that are capable, and because the rules are so good, and because the depth of field is so good, it's like when you say, who's the standout? To be fair to me, I said, there's only really Josh that's a standout that I can really put in a separate sort of level. Yeah. But then everyone else is on such a...
For me, I obviously Tommy Bridewell's going to be strong because he's the same packaging. He was really strong last year. For me, I think Bradley Ray's got a question mark. I think he could be really, really strong. He was sort of... It seemed to be... like
all or nothing.
It was going on and on and on at the Suzuki, and I think he needed some change. Whether that'll work or not, I'm not sure. For me, I think the dark horse is Taron McKenzie. I think the new Yamaha is going to be mega strong. He's staying with him and Jason. Jason was battling with an injury all last year, and obviously this extended off season is going to massively play in his hands. So I think the Yamahas could be the next
It is incredible because I remember having when Richard Cooper was on, we were talking about who's going to do what, who's going to do this. Like you just said prior, everyone goes into that championship thinking they're going to win it. Mm-hmm. And it's incredible how you've just talked about Barbara there, who was pole man, and then he's at the back. The six, like as Aidan Robinson would say, the grey area, the 6 inches between each ear, that is such a mind. I think that's what makes this championship British so good. Like you just said,
because it's shorter again. More people have got a chance. Because a longer championship, the cream always rises to the top. Like you're in every normal championship, round one, you always get some really weird
crashes,
results.
Josh Elliott.
Yeah, not to say that's a weird, but yeah, you get.
Well, it turned out.
You said it.
Yeah, it turned out to be
against Josh is a hell of a
rider. It turned out to be an anomalous result over the course of the season.
Exactly. So because everyone turns up to round one and everyone's got the same dream and belief that they're going to be the champion. Mm-hmm. And at round one, everyone's got that chance. But over the course of 12 rounds, people find their place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In some kind of weird way.
Yeah.
Everyone sort of finds their place and ends up sort of finishing where they're going to finish, give or take, just about in every round.
The people...
But with 6 rounds, there's going to be less of that. because everyone's got a lot more of a chance because it's a much shorter championship.
We haven't mentioned the Hondas. What do you think Andy and Glenn will be like?
I think a lot of it's down to the bike, innit? A lot of it's down to the bike.
Because Glenn's in the Superbike and Todd's on stock, is he?
Stock.
Yeah.
Stock.
But
Fireblade nonetheless.
Andy and Glenn are both on the same team in the
on the Superbikes.
Yeah, on the new Honda. Who? Just a quick one. Who do you think will finish higher in the championship, Glenn or Andy? Not putting you on the spot.
No, Chris, you're exactly putting him on the spot. I love your tactics. I love your
on the spot right now.
I'm loving it, mate. Carry on.
I'm going to go Andy.
Yeah, just more consistent.
I just think Andy, as much as he got a lot of flack for not thinking through his riding, I actually think he does think through his riding.
Yeah.
He just fell a bit foul of getting very tangled with the championship leader every time he got near him.
I tell you what, right? It's like blowing smoke up our asses here. It's number one motorbike podcast. We are proper stirring the pot with this BSB. We're just chucking everyone going, yeah, he's going to do this. He's going to do that. That first race is everyone's going to be licking their lips on the line going,
do you know what the thing is? For me, you've totally hit the nail on the head. And having this extended period of time as motorbike racers, like full of testosterone, everyone's gaining for that number one spot. And just take a little example. A few years ago, we had the TT gap. We have like 6 weeks or something, which 6 weeks in the scheme of the coronavirus is nothing. We had a 6 week gap. We went to Knock Hill, and there was loads. It was carnage. Yeah. You had a big crash, didn't you? Glenn,
I remember being in the med centre with me, Haslam, and Glenn, just all like
mangled.
Yeah.
Yeah. FP1 or FP2?
FP1.
Yeah. Free practice one.
Within 5 laps, there was 3 of us in the med centre.
That was sick. That was sick. Yeah. And all 3, big crashes. Take this into consideration. Turning up first round after that layoff. I mean, I remember last year
some knackered marshals.
It is going to be carnage. Do you know what the first Superstock race of the season?
I'm pumped from flag waving.
The first Superstock race. I mean, Baz had that huge crash. I got taken out. It was carnage. We had to have like a special meeting with the organisers where basically he told everyone we all had to shake each other's hands and everyone had to calm down.
Not allowed to do that now, are you?
No, it'll be elbows.
Elbows out on the track as well. But I tell you, when you're talking about like the cream coming to the top and so, could this be in essence the best year of racing?
Could be exciting.
It'll definitely be one of the most exciting.
It's got to be, isn't it? It's just a flip of the coin, see this is going to be brilliant. I'm like, before this interview, I'm just like, all right, yeah, racing, we'll get going. I'm proper like, let's go for it now.
The other thing with less racing, it brings that like paradox of you've got less races to earn points, but then if you make them balls up,
that's it.
You've got less races. It magnifies a DNF or something like that. So it's like the risk reward is even more difficult to understand as a racer.
There is going to be huge. The grid has got to be like Marmite, hasn't it? It has to be. If people there'll be half the grid going go go go, and the other half will be exactly like that going. If I just wind my neck in a little, let the axe murderers kill themselves, I've got a chance, and that will be interesting. Do you think that'll be visible as for spectators, not as riders, but not even as riders? You'll be going, yeah, I can see where your mind's at.
I think there'll be people trying to put each other in their places early on.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah, I'd agree.
That's normal. That's how it is. I love it.
So you're next out at the BSB test at end of the month, and then from then going into round 1, which is, we said the 7th to the 9th of August, something like that. And then it's basically every 2 weeks off the bounce. Now, in terms of fans, Silverstone came out really early and said they're going to have no spectators, which I think is a huge shame because Silverstone's such a...
Hold on.
It's enormous, and
Silverstone
social
has
distance.
No full you don't every time you watch the BS there's not many sports that you look at the grandstands in the back. There's no one there.
I think you can go to pubs, you can go to restaurants, you can go cinemas, all this, and you can't go to Silverstone. Personally, I think it's absolutely madness. But the all the other tracks so far have said, I think they're stopping camping, but for day customers that can come, and also the local campsites are open as well, so it's not like people can't travel to the circuits.
But they're not restricting numbers at all as far as how many people can come through the gate.
I mean, I don't know, but I've got
Come on.
No, I genuinely don't know.
It'll be a test after this.
I've got all confidence that BSB will be getting people through the gates as soon as
without
they're allowed.
Oh, I totally agree.
You know, they've always been forward thinking. You know, the BSB organisers are mint. You know, the way that they run the series is really commendable.
Totally
I think.
high. But we had Stuart Higgs on the pod going, if we don't get people through the gate, it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
Have I just put words in there? That's pretty much what he was saying.
He said the model doesn't work without crowd.
The model doesn't work, that's it.
But even from a rider's perspective, I did a couple of years in Worlds, and it was just, at the time, maybe a bit different now, but it was just without atmosphere, without excitement, because there was no people there. So it's a big difference.
I did a few European Superstocks, and Portimao was a classic example, Jerez, and it was literally like doing a track day. There was nobody there to watch.
I remember asking you that question, going, without the people there, will it be as enjoyable? Now, and I think your answer was right. It was like when you're on the track, you're just thinking about going fast. But without the atmosphere, it
does make a difference.
It does, doesn't it?
I love the fan aspect of BSB.
Brilliant.
Absolutely love it, because that's what makes it, innit? You know, it's just nice, isn't it? And
of course it is. Yeah.
Even when they come up to you on pit lane walkabout and they think you're James Ellison and you're not, and you have to tell them politely, or just sign James. But apart from
how many people are going to come to you now and go, "Oh, James Ellison, how we're doing so."
But the knowledgeable ones, which is most, it is mint, and it is one of the most enjoyable things about BSB. And they are, the tracks in Britain, the way that a lot of them are obviously in parks and stuff, and the way that people can sit on the grass banks and stuff. Yeah. I think it just makes such an atmosphere, so enclosed. Even though a lot of them are in big spaces, you can feel that sort of atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I think,
and it is mint.
Looking at there will be some positives as well. Something that sprung to mind the other day was I stopped at a service station and went in, and you usually go into these grotty service stations, and you go in the toilets, and they are a bomb site. Where now with this coronavirus, every like 2 hours they're in. It's like you would eat your dinner off it. Usually you go in and it looks like Stevie Wonder's been trying to aim for the
looks like the local Weatherspoons.
Where you go in now and it's immaculate. So swings and roundabouts. There's positives to be taken.
So Chrissy, what have you got out of this natural pandemic?
Service station toilets.
Much better.
That's it. Much better. There we go.
So aside from obviously your training and stuff, have you been busy through lockdown? Have you been up to much?
Well, actually, I've been doing a bit of tree surgery work, which is interesting.
You've been enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my best mates, and I've worked for him before doing tree surgery work and stuff like that, and I just wanted to keep a bit active, so I just pick up the twigs off the floor and put them in the chipper, basically.
There we go, then. Have you got all your fingers?
I still have them.
Oh, good lad.
I did put the rake through the chipper by mistake.
What the Fair enough, young'un, fair enough. I like it, Holden.
So it's only one misdemeanour.
I'm trying to think now. Bearing in mind we've just kind of kidnapped you as a co-host for the evening. What else has been going on in the world? World Superbikes have done a bit of testing, haven't they?
Yeah, in fact, I was going to get the
times
up.
I've jumped the gun here.
Was it Catalonia today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 seconds. I'll just get the times up. I seen Scott Redden was fastest and then Johnny Ray. There was 2 tenths between them. And then last week we had Mick Shanley on the podcast, who's Loris Baz's crew chief, and Baz was 3rd highest Yamaha by a mile, which is a real strong showing, and he was pretty much the same time as what
today
Johnny Ray did. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'll just get the times up
because obviously he's been a bit of a shoe-in with the Van der Mark thing going away. His name's been mentioned a lot.
Yeah, I was saying that. Yeah. Because like the man that we were talking,
I would love to see Bourbier come over because he is. You mentioned about the cream of the crop. In America, he is like head and shoulders above everyone else. So it would be great to see him battling against the best riders in the world.
There we go. And here's another question about current affairs. It was quite a while ago, but Michael Dunlop signed for the Paul Bird team. So, in your opinion, how do you think the Ducati's going to do? The bike in itself around the TT.
I was worried I thought you were going to ask me about Lewis
then. No. So what do you make? How do you think the Ducati will do around the TT course?
Well, not going around the TT course, is it? But eventually,
but eventually it'll go around. But like, Ducati haven't been back. I think the fast lap speeds are 127, 28 with Rutter on board, and really since then they've kind of dabbed around in the privateer section, but never a strong approach to it. Yeah. But taken to the side, like not Paul Bird's bike directly, but just the way you've ridden the bike. Now I know you've never done the TT, But you've done Teesside, so that's pretty much the same characteristics. How does it handle the bumps? But what do you want the Ducati to do around the TT?
Well, I don't know what you'd want it to do. That's your question to answer. But basically,
if you have a chat with Paul, I would love to have a go in that background.
The TT, it's just a big racetrack, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the Ducati goes around racetracks really, really fast. So there's no reason why it couldn't be mint. What I'd be interested
Now that's how you swerve an answer, ladies and gentlemen.
What I would be interested in around the Isle of Man with the speeds being so high is how the aerodynamics worked.
Yes, with all the fins and everything like that.
Have you got wings this year? Yeah. Did you notice I suppose you wouldn't have back-to-backed them, but did you notice a difference?
So that's the thing I would really like to try with and without, which I never have, but the Ducati definitely doesn't wheelie very much. Nowhere near any bike that I've ever been used to. So whether it's down to how it makes power and how it rides,
because
until you back-to-back them, you don't know with and without wings.
That's even more important in BSB where you've got no electronics.
I was about to say, yeah.
In World Superbikes, you would have anti-wheelie and stuff to help that. Where BSB no anti-wheelie, so you're real looking to try and keep the front end down in more
even
natural ways.
Knock Hill the other day, it's always a pig over the start finish. Any bike that you ever ride is you're just trying to keep the front wheel down. You're jumping on the back brake, you're rolling the throttle, you're doing anything and everything you can. Whereas on the Ducati, it was definitely a much easier ride for me. So around the Isle of Man, when you're going over them fast crests, it would be interesting to see if that was something that
it'd be brilliant, because if we've got something that's going to put that... No, I totally agree with that. That would be...
In terms of riding style, is there anything that you're trying to adapt from the from your riding style from the BMW to the Ducati? Is there anything you're consciously trying to do more of or less of?
I definitely need to be stronger on the brakes, because one of the Ducati's massive strengths is its braking stability and braking power. It's mint, but it's taken me a bit too long than I would like to make the full use of it, to realise what you've got underneath you.
Yeah.
Because like you see, you haven't done a big pile of testing though, have you?
No,
you know what I mean?
Loads,
You know what I mean?
Not loads,
but like you say, normally got 12 rounds to...
when we back-to-back the data, basically, me and Josh are comparable apart from the brake zones.
And are you a backbreaker?
I think that's a good term, because we've talked about back brakes so much, which is brilliant. But are you a back... We're going to have to come up with a stamp
on Corn Henry, do you use back brake?
More towards the apex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
not necessarily... Well, actually, 2 phases. First, just before you hit the brakes, to try and calm the bike down on the pitch phase.
Thumb or foot?
Whichever I get to first.
Oh, so you've got both?
Yeah, got a dual system.
All right. There we go.
And then to control the
entry wheels
phase.
off the ground on the main phase.
Exactly.
I've seen pictures
so then you're all just fully on the front brake, aren't you? So back brake would be irrelevant.
And then just pull it into the apex with a little bit more.
Yeah.
Cool. And another question I was going to ask is, you see a lot of BSB riders in the main class and in other categories that have coaches and spotters. Is that something that you do you have anybody watching you, like a family member or like ex-professionals or anything to critique your lines and your body position and stuff, or do you just rely on it yourself?
Never have done, but this year I am trying to go full hog. I'm trying to do full investment in myself and in making this work.
Yeah.
I had been in contact with Michael Laverty, who I respect absolutely as a rider, as someone who's got absolute knowledge of motorcycle sport, with regard to coming to some races, and we had agreed that he was going to come to all the rounds that he could do for me.
Fabulous.
That might change now, obviously, because he works with BT for MotoGP, and he also works with Chaz in World Superbikes.
Right, aye.
Which to me was a bonus, because obviously he's got
same bikes
knowledge straight away of years and years with Chaz. But obviously now it just depends on what you can do time-wise. But yeah, it's the first year I've looked into it. And MLav to me was the perfect, as well, the way that he's very sort of measured in the way that he'll put something across. If I suck somewhere, he won't tell me in a way that's going to hurt my feelings. He'll tell me in a way that'll make me improve.
Yeah.
It's
like
you see a lot of them, don't you? Yeah, you see a lot of people now are going to that next phase of, it's just such marginal gains. So if someone can just tell you one thing, and he actually told me about the Chaz situation, and I think the way that it works is probably quite beneficial for Michael in terms of what Chaz does for Michael. But yeah, the way that Michael explained to me, he said, Chaz said, if you essentially help me win one race, then you've more than served your purpose. And that is, how true is that in terms of if that person is the difference, just telling you one thing that someone's doing differently or slightly better, worse, or whatever it is.
Like you say, it's marginal gains, and you're looking for, if you've got, when you're riding, you can't be watching all the other riders, and if there's anything that you're maybe weak or doing, even positive feedback as well, what you're doing good, and then at least you know you can leave that sector and work on others or whatever.
Yeah.
But just going to the times, by the way, so we've got Scott Redden first, Johnny Race second, Baz third, Alex Lowe's fourth, Bautista fifth, which is a good improvement because he was struggling at the
That's good
the
for
first
Lowe's
test.
mind, isn't it?
Yeah, good, really good. Tom Sykes on the BMW is sixth. Then we've got Cortese, Davies, Toprak, Laverty, Haslam's struggling a little bit, 1.2 off the pace.
Haslam had a trick to the med centre. I read that earlier in the day.
A little off because in all the other testing in the first round, Haslam was stronger than Bautista, but it looks like I suppose this gap sort of helped Honda with it being a new bike and a little bit more development time. Vandermark's down in, sorry, I missed out, Mercado and Gerloff. Then Vandermark is 14th, 1.4 off, which I was surprised at because Vandermark's, a real, been on that bike a long time and he's strong. Karakazula, and then is it Sheeb?
Maximilian, someone like that.
And then
Sheeb.
Barrier on the
Sheep.
and then Barrier rounds out top 17. I don't know if there's any more than that, but that's all I've got on my screen.
I think that is the full.
Is that a full grid? 7?
Well, I think there's a couple of European lads, and obviously now it is a European Championship anyway, so I think there's a couple to add to it. But I think that's most of the grid, to be fair. I think there's only 19, so you're only missing a couple.
It's not great, that, really, for, if anybody enters, a couple are going to get DNF, so, like, if you finish, you're going to get points, which, isn't great, really.
Can I turn up on there on my stocker?
I'm
Top
not
20 in
sure.
the world, I could live with that, you know what I mean? Chisel out of me, Gravestone, yeah, I'm top 20 in the world. Oh, you do British?
I think we mentioned this last time that you were on the podcast, but I kind of actually. By the way, for people that are listening to this, if you missed the last one, I've just checked, and I think it was episode 36.
Yeah,
Your
he's
last
much
one.
better crack now, so you know.
36. So if you want to go back, and we talked about like how you got into racing and you got supermoto and you're like going through the years.
It was like a This Is Your Life, the last
Exactly.
one.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It was
If
like
you want
love stories.
If you want to
and
listen to that,
everything.
head back to episode 36. But I've lost my train of thought of what I was going to say there. Totally lost
He's
it.
mid-crack now. That's all we need. That's all we need.
But what I was going to mention is we've now got a PlayStation. It's like a leaderboard, basically.
We bumped it off Top Gear. Right.
So-
It's a great little idea.
So since we've had the new studio, which
Which is very nice.
yeah, Andrew Lund at Revolution Leisure Camper Vans
There you
kitted out for us down in, it's like Halifax, Bradford sort of area. I think it was.
Yakshire.
So we've got the PlayStation set up, and are you any good on the PlayStation games?
No.
Well, we've got the TT game, and
You want to be chatting and setting this up, Chrissy. Come on, get your professionalism
The
on.
rules-
Hit
go
some
on, you.
buttons and...
the rules are, we do a super sport. You've got to be a super sport bike, and it's sector 4 of the TT. Now, if we'll get Tom to set that up.
Oh, God, we're going to be here for days after that, aren't we?
I will just mention as well in the break that with our last sponsors of the podcast, Myers College, have got in touch and they've got a giveaway for us to hand out. So I'll post that on
Free diplomas.
all the
for everyone.
I'll have one of them. I'll be joking.
on the social media. It's actually a very, very good giveaway.
I think that's where my tree surgeon mate went to.
Oh, I
He has
got a free
he-
diploma as well, so
have
that's
you got
fine.
a wheelbarrow ticket? He's got a ticket for using a wheelbarrow.
Oh, motorised one, surely.
No, I rip him because I think he failed first time round as well.
There is no such thing as a wheelbarrow.
I swear he's got a
You
wheelbarrow
have a word
ticket.
with yourself. You're, you're talking
Some-
shite, young'un.
from-
There's no way.
I'll just turn that down. Just
If
a second.
anyone's lit, please someone fight
Anyone got a wheelbarrow ticket?
ticket.
Get
Please
in
post
touch.
this
Yeah.
on Chase the Race, and that is absolutely
Right now,
brilliant.
before we get the PlayStation thing sorted, I'll just say that the giveaway from Myers College, I'll stick it online and we'll do like a like and share thing. But it's all Silkaline products, 4 litres of Comp 10W40.
Compass.
There's fork oil, 2-stroke oil, Silkaline Pro Race brake fluid, solvent cleaner, brake cleaner, silicone spray. I think that's supposed to say Silkaline, Pro Wash, Pro Prep, chain lube, and a mug. So there's a shitload of stuff. But I'll put that on the social media. But anyway, over to the TT game. And while you do this, it's our responsibility to try and put you off by asking you quick fire questions.
I was about to say,
Brilliant.
I've not really got any inappropriate questions.
I lost my train of thought before. What I was going to say is the last time I had you on, I'm sure I asked you this about doing the Northwest possibly, but I can't remember what you said. Is the Northwest something that you might possibly do in the future, or is it a no-go?
Was it something you'd want to do?
Want to do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks mint. Yeah, like I said last time, it's one of them things that excites me a lot, and racing around a track is exciting, so I can only imagine that doing it on a road is just
even better.
Do you
think it'll ever happen?
I don't know. Like I said last time, the worry is, does it detract when you're trying to be competitive at BSB? Does it detract from that job in hand?
The main focus, yeah.
Does it take away from the main focus? Then, I mean, funny enough, Birdie was mentioning different events that he wanted to do, and it was one of them where the words were like just there, and I was like, I knew if I said something that would be it. It would be that I was going.
Yeah.
And I managed to just keep my mouth shut.
What about Macau?
Oh.
Be interesting, wouldn't it?
It would be, wouldn't it? Because like Paul Bird's heavily involved in road racing, so you've got the perfect team boss for that situation.
So it's not a no, but it's a maybe.
It's not a no, but like I've always said, like my family are against it, and they got me into racing, so it would kind of be against their wishes.
Yeah, which is fair enough, because your dad is good friends with like Dean Harrison, and they worked together for many years and stuff like that. So, no, that'd be quite hard, wouldn't it? Going from that professionalism and then having your son do it. I wouldn't want to be in your dad's shoes, on that side of things.
Is your dad still involved in racing?
No, so he's probably going to follow me around a bit more.
Oh, brilliant!
Which is good. I'll get my dad back, because he was really. as Dean got faster and faster, I lost my dad slowly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right, there we go.
He got more and more like Go Dean than Go Christian.
Now we've got we've got a famous motocross dad, that big follow of the show. What's Sugar Tit's real name?
You joking?
What's his real name? Craig Stad. Now there's a motocross dad. Is your dad a motocross dad?
No, he's all right actually. My dad's a
quiet one. Now, was he a motocross dad with the Supermoto and stuff?
He was a motocross dad in the first days of motocross, as everyone is.
Have you been following the Mad Mark thing?
Yes, brilliant.
Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely brilliant.
I seen a T-shirt the other day on Instagram. It said "Motocross dads like normal dads, but better," or something like that. I thought how good and how true. But anyway, right, we'll get going. So Sector 4, I think it's from do you know the TT course?
Ish.
It starts with if you press X to start.
X.
And then so going from Doran's bet, I think it's. Yeah,
oh, he's already off, Chrissy, man.
Right.
Anyway, come on, here we go. So
Martin Jessup on the 675.
There you go.
Flying around.
If you're going to pick a karaoke song, what song would that be?
I like a bit of Queen. Don't stop me now.
Are you a bit of a Queen there, Chrissy?
Are you
a bit of a Queen, man? You're putting me off. That's the whole point of this game. Say again.
I was wide.
It was wide.
It was wide. Oh,
you like the wide one? Oh, you are doing
Special
rubbish
line.
on this one. You're thinking about it too much. There we go. So,
what's the best meal that the missus cooks?
Beef Wellington. Lovely.
Is that a euphemism? You do love a euphemism, do you?
Dad will be listening.
Hello, Q, how we doing? There we go. And a brother. There you go. Apparently you shit on a bike there, Barry. There you are. Shit on a motocross bike.
That's one of my favourite bits of the podcast, about this, when you were telling about the story about cycling over with Frozen Testicles.
Oh, God,
up thinking, and Dom said something about Nicola sat with her knickers around her ankles. And this sort of like Dom's logic of if that she would just.
He's coming over. He's coming. Oh, get it. Right, the time is 1:08.
Sarah's cottage.
Oh, we've got our first crash. Here we go.
Do you know the TT course very well?
I used to play that TT game, and I've watched plenty of onboards.
Oh, Jackie! Oh, you're
obviously not enough, I reckon.
No, not enough. When's the last time you sent a dick pic to the missus?
I don't think I ever have.
And she still loves you. There you go. That's the main thing.
Well, that's why. It would put her right off.
So you're a lights off kind of guy, are you?
And coming up to the end of the sector, I tell you what, that is strong. 140.
That is a strong with what? One bin off or two?
So if you press, what's
Am I
that?
champion or not?
Am I champion? I don't know if you're champion or not.
I haven't actually got the leaderboard.
There you
so
go.
Leave it on that, and I'll take a
leave
picture.
It there. It's going down and down and down and down.
So
there you go.
Martin Jessup, 140 point. What is it? 0.1.
I came behind Antonio Giorno.
He sounds
that's
like a
good
really
going.
nice guy. There you go.
Italian for Tony Day.
Fantastic. So,
Oh, see, they are educated, fartsmoney, and an athletic beast. There we go. Wicked sense of humour. That's all you need from a guest, isn't it, Chrissy? That's all you need.
That's it.
And more importantly, you've got a brother-in-law, a father-in-law, and the girlfriend's got a wicked sense of humour as well. That's what the North East gives, and I'm glad you're loving it up here.
now, have we got any other business to attend to before we wrap proceedings up?
You got any questions for Chrissy? Not me. You know, I've got no crack.
How's your motocross going?
No comment. No, I did.
No, if you're going to serve a question, you need to take a page out of his book. He does it
we said
professionally.
before this, no cheap shots, no dropping each other in it. No,
I've just asked him if he's sent a dick pic to the missus. No cheap shots.
Revenge. No, I've little slip off last week. But I think that'll. I've got the. We're talking about the pros and the cons. I've got the pros. I've got the fitness element out, and I think I did an enduro when was it? A couple of weeks ago, and I found that although it was, it's still. Oh yeah, get the camera moving back on.
I'm missing the star, Chrissy.
Whoa, no. The both you've got both the cameras on Christian, man.
I know, but he's the better looking one,
This
isn't he?
way, yeah.
Apparently not. If we speak to, where was it?
I can't find
And then, so I did an enduro, and although it's still quite dangerous, you can still hurt yourself doing it. I thought it's a lot slower speed and stuff, so I think I'm going to do some more enduro than motocross, and then wait until sort of October after the season, and then hit the motocross hard.
Then we're going motocrossing.
Yeah, October till December sort of time.
Lovely.
Smash it. But I tell you what, one thing I did want to mention is, I'll just get the dates up so I get the details. Ben Godfrey's funeral is going to be, it's on Thursday the 16th of July. It's at 1:30, and it was a post on the Ben Godfrey Racing page. So hello everyone, Jordan's here. For all those who would like to attend, Ben's celebration of his life will be held on Thursday the 16th of July, 1:30 p.m, and it's at Gedling Crematorium, Catfoot Lane, Lambie, Nottingham, and then the postcode is NG44QH. So, and with the restrictions, there's only 40 people allowed in the chapel, but there's no restrictions on who can come, and they've got big speakers and stuff outside. So for anyone that would like to pay the final respects to Ben, the celebration of his life, it'll be next Thursday.
Oh.
Have we got anything else to wrap the pod up? Are you doing anything? Have you got any plans this week?
I was just about to say.
You've got
I'm racing, young'un. I'm racing.
Racing?
Cadwell Park, CRMC, classic racing.
Lovely.
Oh yes, indeed. I've got a couple of lap records.
How classic?
Oh, very classic. I think the bikes were built last year. Yeah. No, so like the replicas of older bikes, So I'm trying to think when the cut-off date is, and that is terrible. Can't remember.
Is it not the 60s or
60s? Yeah. So like classic TT regulation rules, but the CRMC. I'm not just saying this.
Do you have to use old tyres, or are you on modern tyres?
Avon have developed like on the same tyre size as what they were, but they are the phenomenal set of tyres.
They're going to be the same size. They're going to have different size.
Well, of course they're going to be the same size. I'm trying to think of something technical and smart here, but
they're
they're all treaded.
The new tyres.
Yeah,
they're brand new tyres, but they still experiment with the compounds.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The modern compounds are not like old school.
Yeah, but they're phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Like when riding around them in the wet, they're the exact same.
But like taking an older bike that was never designed for that grip level must be pretty. It's different, isn't it? Because it wasn't designed for that.
It's unbelievable. Like the front end chatter and all that. The chassis act totally different.
You've been listening to podcasts as well.
I have, yeah. I know it's
there's
loads of good ones. There's loads of good ones there, but it's no. You can actually feel the frames twist because it's all like so lightweight and everything. They are works of art and they're considerably expensive bikes as well. But
down at Cadwell, the fans are allowed to turn up as well. So
yes.
Saturday, Sunday, what classes are you racing in?
Bring your placard. As many people can turn up as they want. That's how it works.
That's exactly it. So no,
I'm
racing 850 air-cooled class on the Yamaha Twin 500. That's a development bike we're working on. Honda K4 for the 350 race. There's the ACU race. That's actually a money race. We can win up to £500. The winners feeling the cheddar buzz.
Get your entry fees back.
It was expensive for the entry fees. And then we've got the 500 race as well, which is on the Honda 4. So plenty of racing going on this weekend. And then After that, we've got a bit of pit bike racing. I'm racing for the Moto team there, which is going to be a right laugh. That's
full factory pit bike racer.
I am a full factory pit bike racer. It is unbelievable. It's like a Daytona 194 valve overhead, and it is terrifying.
And it meant, though, just that everything's more normal now.
Yeah.
You know, like,
it's class, isn't it?
Speaking to someone about going racing again, it's just mint.
It is class, isn't it? No, but like before this conversation, I was a bit like, yeah, we'll get going. We'll see. And I knew my attitude would change on the day, but like sitting here, bunch of dudes, having the crack, I'm generally excited. So I'm like everyone else would be like turning up the grid dead calm, and I'm like, just had a crack, the crack with Chrissy and Christy. I'm on it.
It is mega, and I've been going to track days and whatever, and that buzz in the air, and there was one sort of COVID police that was like going around, the authoritarian telling everyone to get 2 meters apart. But aside from that, it is just normal, and everyone's getting back to normal basically.
Absolutely mint.
Can't wait to get going. But honestly, thank you so much for being my guest and co-host, whatever you are. But I think now that you're local down the road, it's going to have to be a frequent thing, I think.
Well,
definitely.
I'd be happy that I wasn't the first 2P. I'll happily be the first 3P.
Yeah, 3P. And we'll have to let you know next time that...
Don't go ringing Coop up before me like you did last time.
When Dom's out on his O'Varley next, we'll have to have a... Because I'm desperate for a go on that as well.
No, you're definitely... And the best thing is, we'll get you out on that Moto as well with the Supermoto experience. You can just... With the pair of you, get on the pair of them and have a good time.
Now, I know we're wrapping the podcast up, but I've just spotted something that I really want to ask you. You clearly had arm pump surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. Has everyone got another hour to sit down there?
No. When did you have your arm pump surgery?
Have you had yours done?
No.
All right. I had mine done after the first year at TAS, so that would have been 3 years ago now.
And a big improvement?
Oh, mint. So I had I had the sheaths removed. So arm pump surgery, essentially, you've got your muscles are in a tube, a bit like a sausage in its skin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I've heard that analogy.
Yeah. So the
I bet you have.
So if your sausage skin is if your skin's too tight for your sausage, which was my problem, then you have issues, and you have to go and see the doctor about your sausage because the skin's too tight. So I went to see the doctor. So, but they do a test, so they make you basically. They try and give you arm pump, and they inject you with a needle. It's basically like a pressure gauge, and they test the pressure that's built up inside, and then how much pressure is how bad you have it. And I was quite high on the scale, so they removed my sheaths entirely, which I was happy about because if you'd only have them cut open, essentially a bit like unzipping a blanket, it could heal back. And I actually have a bit of a skin, not a condition. It makes me sound a bit flipping. Virus.
But you do shit yourself when you run, so I can believe anything.
No, but I have. So my skin, when it scars, it attacks itself. So I have quite big scars.
All right.
Yeah. There is a name for it, which I don't know what it is. But there is like a proper name for it. So that's why they end up a bit bigger. So if they'd only cut it, there was every chance that actually it would tighten up more than it was before. So I was happy that they took them away.
All right. Brilliant.
So yeah, and ever since it's been
ideal.
Been mint. Yeah.
There you are. Does the job.
And it wasn't that expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I don't know, 1,800 quid, I think, for the both. Like, I went to Belgium for mine.
I was going to say, because you can get cheaper in Belgium. You can. I do know quite a lot of riders.
How did you two find out that was cheaper in Belgium?
Oh, it's
like eBay for arm pump.
Yeah, loads of people go to Belgium for it. I know if you pay in this country, I know people that have paid like around the sort of $4 or $5 grand mark. Mm-hmm. But if you can sort of incorporate it to sound like you need to do it for work, you can get it done on the NHS as well. I know quite a few people that have.
All maths teachers need arm pump surgery, don't they?
Well, I know Josh Daly was one. He said he was having problems. He's an engineer, I think, and he said he was having problems with tools. Straight away, got it done free. I know quite a few people that have in fact, I know people that aren't professional motorbike racers, but that they've just said that it's their profession and they've had the arm pump surgery done. So if people are listening and they do need an arm pump surgery,
you told me I could have got it for free.
Yeah, you can get.
We can get a boob job if you say you got insecurity issues.
So I could have had that as well.
Oh, I'm
so insecure.
Mate.
the top one of the top surgeons in the country works from the QE in Gateshead as well. So quite my old teammate Jordan Gilbert came up and got his done, and like real neat job as well for free. So happy days. But anyway, best wrap this up. Thanks, Christian. Thanks so much for your time. Cheers. And massively wish you the best. Both of us are really rooting for you for the championship, and so bring it back to God's country up in the northeast. And
only then we'll recognise you as one of our own, probably. So
seriously though, all the very best.
Definitely.
And yeah, thanks again for joining us. Big thanks to our patrons. I was going to say thanks to our sponsor, but we don't have a sponsor for this episode. And we look forward to getting another podcast sometime soon. So yeah, thanks a lot, and we'll catch up soon.
Awesome. See you in a bit, mate.